At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor, and yeah, another cold one across North Mississippi, but luckily it's dry, and trust me, come 24 hours from now, we'll all be wishing it was back into this forecast. So enjoy what we have for right now, because rain chances are looming on the horizon. What we're tracking here in the Room to Room Weather Center is another cold night for parades this evening. We know that we have Nettleton coming up at the 7 o'clock hour, as well as 7:30 in Columbus. So if you're needing any plans, 6 o'clock, we'll ramp up the show just in time for you to get down to Nettleton or Columbus, depending on where you're at. And you guys can enjoy a night filled with lights, with treats, with sounds, with beautiful music. A great time nonetheless. We enjoyed our time in New Albany yesterday and excited to get to experience more parades as this week goes on, weather permitting. And that's the big story for our Thursday. Thursday's parades, yeah, they'll need an umbrella. Still waiting on a tally of who has postponed. We'll have an update on that list coming up here at the 6 o'clock hour with the full breakdown of those parades that are supposed to be happening for tomorrow. Some are not anymore, and we'll have that list coming up here shortly. What we're also looking at is cold temperatures, rain or shine. Yeah, that's the unfortunate part about it. Even if it's raining, we often talk about the changes in the weather pattern and how temperatures will fluctuate depending on if there's rain or not. Not exactly with this setup. We're sitting well below average for the next several days, so have that warm gear ready. We'll update you on whether or not you need to add a rain jacket to those layers. The first 12 this evening, dry conditions into those evening hours, 33 around 7, freezing by 10. Same thing there by 1 a.m. And as that moisture moves back into the forecast, that moisture keeping us at bay with those temperatures, not dropping it below freezing, going to be right at that freezing mark for a lot of locations here in North Mississippi. Now, those threats for our morning commute going to be isolated in nature, and for a large part of us going to be focused towards our south. But by the afternoon, those chances really pick up, and that's where Thursday's parades, yeah, they're going to be impacted by that rainfall. Taking a look outside right now, beautiful shot there in Blue Springs. A few clouds up there in the sky, but we're really paying attention to this number right here, the dew points. 30 degrees right now. That moisture needs to resustain itself overnight in order for those rain chances to continue to verify. What we've seen over the last 24 hours is that it has shifted, was in the low 20s yesterday, now low 30s. So a 10-degree change, and that continues to build into those overnight hours, making way for that soggy forecast on our Thursday. So 37 degrees in Blue Springs. As we take a look around the area, we're tracking 37 degrees in Maben. A few stars showing up in that sky, but those clouds still remain in place with, honestly, some cirrostratus, really going to be stratus clouds blanketing the sky right there. And again, that's going to be paired with some rainfall by tomorrow. We were talking earlier on, me and my wife, and we were saying, is this going to be a stratonimbus or anything like that? That's going to see some height to those clouds because, of course, nimbus clouds a little bit taller in height. And I was saying, no, it's going to be more of that stratiform precipitation, and most of that precipitation, not all of that precipitation, going to be in the form of rainfall. So that's going to blanket our sky tomorrow afternoon, but for right now it's dry, and we need to enjoy that even down there in Oktibbeha County with Maben. Love showing this shot on Wednesdays. Kosciuszko there in Itala County, 39 degrees right now. Saw a few cars pulling into the church for those midweek services, and that parking lot filled. Always a welcome sight, because we all know the reason for the season. It's, of course, Jesus, and we need to go get some of that this week. So you get the parades, get your midweek services, a busy night across North Mississippi, and we have the dry weather to accommodate those busy plans. Our Mississippi Live Weather Radar tracking nothing in regards to rainfall. We're staying dry across North Mississippi, so no flakes, no raindrops, no anything like that. And rainfall totals over the past 24 hours, actually over the past 36 hours, haven't seen a drop here in North Mississippi. We're going to have to take it on the wider shot in order to see a few of those, and those, of course, going to be in southeast Texas, and even then, trace amounts right now. This is a system that continues to build into the next couple of hours. So we're seeing a few tenths of an inch off the Texas coast, but trace amounts for the rest of us, that going to be a little bit more impactful as it makes its way into Louisiana and on into North Mississippi. But that has a ways to go before we start to see those chances climb into the next 24 hours. So taking a look right here, we're going to keep it on this shot because you can see that we have that cluster of showers starting to develop in southeast Texas, with a few of those actually building in strength. So some of the storm tops getting a little bit taller. May hear a few rumbles of thunder for folks along the Gulf Coast region, but again, not expecting that here in North Mississippi. Our storm tops are going to be very low, so there's not going to be that upward development which is usually associated with those stronger storms. No, we're tracking rain, and that's really going to be it. I don't expect any rumbles of thunder to be in North Mississippi for any of these rain chances tomorrow. But look how over time, 10 o'clock, those showers and storms really start to build there towards Alexandria, all the way down towards Houston, with a few rumbles of thunder expected within that band as well. This is going to be driven by this cold front back behind it, so as that continues to build towards the northeast, into North Mississippi, this cold front going to be driving that moisture further out towards the east. So there's what we're going to be getting. A few showers, a few moderate showers as well, expected by 3 a.m. But if we bring it back towards our home view there in North Mississippi, this is primarily going to be along and south of Highway 82. This is not going to be for folks along the Tennessee state line. A sprinkle is possible, but we're not really expecting that with the highest likelihood of those rain chances to take place. You can see down in the coast, a whole different story with a few rumbles possible once again down there towards the coast of Louisiana. Not going to say that city because I know it's still a sensitive topic for a few Ole Miss fans, and my wife being included with those fans. So out of respect for her, I'm not going to mention it. But as you can see, by 6 a.m. on Thursday, it doesn't matter where you are, all of south and central Mississippi dealing with that rainfall and those chances. Yes, getting into North Mississippi ever so slightly. So we could see a few drops even as far north as Panola and Lafayette County. But we really expect that to, again, be along and south of Highway 82, building in as the morning continues on. Then those chances move out, but redevelopment takes place, and that's that next system moving into our Thursday afternoon. That's where those chances will really start to climb across North Mississippi, and right on time for those state championships, right on time for those parades. Again, we'll take a look at both of those forecasts coming up here in just a moment, but this is not exactly a recipe for success. I might have had two of these in there. Well, we're going to go through it again, I guess. Let me see if I can advance this real quick. My word, are we stuck on it? Well, there we go. All right, let's go ahead and get back to it. I unpaused a few graphics in there and almost tripped. All right, the next 24, bringing it back here to the Room to Room Weather Center, you can see some isolated chances for the first half of the day, but as we push more into the afternoon, you can see 3, 4, 5, even 6 o'clock. Those rain chances climb into 40, 50, 60, maybe even 70% by 6 p.m. So yes, it's going to be a soggy forecast, and we'll have a full list of those parades that are happening tomorrow night still, and those that have already postponed with updates on when those will be happening. Coming up here in the Room to Room Weather Center on Mississippi Live Weather at 6, coming up here in the next 60.
Hi, my name is Rosie. Regional Rehab Center helps kids like me by offering speech therapy, occupational therapy, and dyslexia therapy. Your support helps so many of us get what we need to grow and succeed. Please help the Rehab Center.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Traffic flowing smoothly, even though the camera might not be on the Mississippi Department of Transportation camera. There we go. 37 degrees right now in Columbus. Folks heading out and about, getting ready for the big Christmas parade in Columbus this evening. Going to be a cold one yet again, but ask folks in New Albany, those temperatures could definitely be worse. Yesterday a little bit colder, but nonetheless 37 degrees. Still necessary to bundle up and stay as warm as possible as you see those beautiful sights down there in Columbus. Smithville, not too far away from our other Christmas parade down in Nettleton, showcasing 37 degrees as well. Dew point at 31. Still dry across the region, but we do expect those rain chances to climb overnight as that moisture resustains itself here in North Mississippi. But guys, the big number on the screen, 0 miles an hour. So no wind chill with this forecast. That makes it a little bit more bearable. I mean, I walked out the door to around 20 degrees this morning, somewhere in the 20s, not at 20 degrees. And as I walked out the door, I was thinking, this is so much better than what it was earlier on this week. And earlier this week, it was slightly warmer temperatures. So when there's not wind, it actually becomes a much less miserable forecast. So we're not complaining about that one bit. All right, taking a look at Mississippi Live Weather Radar. What are we tracking? Well, a whole bunch of nothing whenever it comes to rain chances. Those out towards the west. So in North Mississippi this evening, looking good to go. Parades happening at 7 and 7:30 over there in Columbus and Nettleton. So those should be good to go with no drops of rainfall expected. Again, it is just going to be the cloud cover that we are watching. But as we've talked about with the water vapor, look on the legend. We were originally in this orange part, which is indicative of drier air. That was yesterday. Now pushing into our Wednesday forecast, we're kind of in that middle, if not hinting more on the humid side of things, meaning that that moisture is rebuilding itself here in North Mississippi. And if it's not able to be seen here, well, you'll definitely get a visual on that out there towards Galveston, Texas, and Houston. The cool part about this is something that I just love with weather is the cool things that you get to see on satellite. And shout out my satellite teacher back there in college. If we put this on a 3-hour loop, watch how these just start to bubble up once again. And we're getting that out there in the Texas coast. You can see those just popping up more and more. That's as that system starts to build just a bit more and going to get more of those to continue to develop. So that's why if you look on radar right now, not anything impressive, but those are building as it enters into southwest Louisiana, and expecting a few rumbles of thunder with that as well as we get into that extended forecast overnight. So that's out there in Texas and Louisiana right now. So our forecast here, dry and good to go. Looking at that parade planner, we have 36 degrees around 6, 33 when those parades do start. It's going to be right around that freezing margin, and 32 at freezing by 8. Partly cloudy skies linger overnight, so we still will have a few breaks here and there, but as that moisture builds, so will that cloud cover, setting the scene for that rainy night across the region. So once we reach freezing, I don't have us dropping too much beyond that threshold. So freezing, yes, but could be colder, and that's what we saw this morning across the region. All right, looking at those parades happening for your Thursday. I told you guys I'd give you an update. We have Fulton and Baldwin that have rescheduled up to Tuesday, December 9th. I believe that's Tuesday. Let me check my math. Yes. Tuesday, December 9th, and that is going to be for Baldwin and Fulton. So if you're looking for those parades for tomorrow evening, those have rescheduled, so don't go out in the rainfall. It's not going to be worth it because there's not going to be a parade happening in those cities. What we do still have is Ackerman, Macon, and Verona. If you guys do know any updates in the chat, I'm curious if that has since been rescheduled, but research we're doing behind the scenes, I've not been able to see a rescheduled date. So if you guys know that and know how to do better research than I do, then please put that in the chat, and we will be happy to mention that here on Mississippi Live Weather. But wanted to update you guys on the latest that we know here in the area. And yeah, so far just 2 postponed, not canceled, postponed, and that's going to be Fulton and for Baldwin as well. Let's keep that forecast going, and that's going to be futurecast into those overnight hours, dry across the region. So honestly, if Fulton and Baldwin did it tonight, it would be good to go. But Tuesday, shaping up for a good forecast as well, and we'll see that in that extended pattern here in just a moment. But let's go ahead and expand things out. And I know we looked at the expanded outlook earlier on at the 6 o'clock hour, but that's really what we need to look at to understand the forecast. Look down south. We have several of these, I say that, look down south, and there's can't see behind me. Look down south there towards Alexandria and Oakdale, Louisiana. That, of course, having a little bit more of those inclement showers and thunderstorms, those building in as we head overnight, but the rumbles of thunder going to stick south of I-20. So for folks up north of there, we're looking good to go with some scattered rainfall, but not exactly inclement weather in North Mississippi. Now we can bring it back to our home view and track these showers as we head into those overnight hours. So this cold front driving that moisture through our area. So by 2 a.m., don't be surprised if you hear those drops of rainfall, Greenville and Greenwood, even a few sprinkles there in Yalobusha, Lafayette, and Union County. But as we get further into those overnight hours, once that moisture pushes little bit further north. Not going to be as impactful, and the heaviest portion still going to be out around Highway 82 and further towards portions south. So that's 6 a.m. on your Thursday. So heading out the door, it's not exactly going to be an ideal start. But as we track those rainfall totals for tonight, not going to be anything measurable by 10 p.m. But as we push more to that 2 o'clock in the morning hour, then we get those hundredths starting to trickle in, turning into tenths of an inch as we get further into those the start of our Thursday. Again, this is just setting the scene for what should be a soggy day ahead. First round going to be during those early a.m. hours. Next round, mid-afternoon, and that's where those will continue to build. But those chances, as I mentioned, I said along and south of Highway 82, extending a little bit more north towards Houston, Bruce, and Water Valley, so not going to be surprised to see a few drops up there. Even Red Bay, Alabama. Not an impossibility to get a few drops, but again, not anything too significant, at least for this first round of moisture. All right, let's keep that futurecast going, and that's going to be starting with our low temperatures Thursday. We said right around freezing, upper 20s in northwest Alabama, not an impossibility as that moisture builds. Going to be cooler out towards the east and slightly warmer out towards the west. That's why Greenville's coming in at 40 degrees, Clarksdale 35, and Bruce 34, 32 in Tupelo, Starkville, and Columbus. So a cold one for sure. Make sure to have that rain gear ready on top of that warm gear. But wind chill wise, luckily it's not going to be a breezy forecast. So those winds keeping those calm conditions, so it's not going to drop those temperatures any. And trust me, we don't want them to, because that's when the forecast gets a little bit more miserable. But that cold rain continues for the start of our Thursday, still going to be further towards our south, but we primarily have that along 82 and for portions in central and south Mississippi, really getting the most impactful rainfall. That's going to be as this system builds into the area. I mean, not going to be surprised to see some potential strong storms out there in the Gulf if those were to work their way inland just a bit, but our chances rebuild by the afternoon. And again, we're not tracking anything inclement, but watch how this batch of moisture out there towards Little Rock pushes more into the region. This is what we've been tracking on Futurecast the past few days. This system has started to look better and better on each model run, and so we expect those to become a little bit more impactful and widespread than what was originally anticipated even 24 hours ago or even 48 hours ago. So watch as we head into our Thursday afternoon. All of this moisture has to go somewhere, and it goes right over the top of North Mississippi. And you're seeing a lot of blues, pinks, and greens showing up. I know a lot of folks are excited seeing that, saying, oh my goodness, that means snow for us, right? Not exactly, because the temperatures in Little Rock, and we'll see this here coming up later in the 6 o'clock hour, temperatures in Little Rock, much more ideal for winter precip than what we're getting here in North Mississippi, even in DeSoto County there towards Senatobia as well. So if we zoom it back in on our forecast, you can see we are primarily getting a cold rain. The snowfall and even the wintry mix going to be out there towards northeast Arkansas and northwest Tennessee. That line could dip a little bit further towards the south as we head into those evening hours, but I don't have it moving into North Mississippi. The rest of us just getting that stratiform precipitation, uniform across the board with some moderate rainfall. Going to be a soggy one for sure for any Thursday evening plans, playoff games, parades. Again, not looking ideal, but we are grateful because we do still need that rainfall. We get that drought monitor coming out tomorrow morning, and we'll see the latest on that. But I know that we are still in need of some rainfall throughout North Mississippi. Our Thursday afternoon, since we are seeing so much moisture in the air, it's not going to limit how much we warm up. 50 in Columbus, 47 in Tupelo, 48 Water Valley, and 45 there towards Senatobia. You look at our normal, 58 degrees, yeah, nowhere near that across North Mississippi. So those cool conditions, they reign supreme, rain or shine. But we do have one of our games of the week happening Thursday evening, state championships with Calhoun City and West Point. 45 degrees that first game with Calhoun City, 41 for that game with West Point at 7 o'clock, I believe 7:30 actually. And then 41 during that celebration. It's going to be a good one because, of course, we're bringing 2 state titles back to North Mississippi. Our Wildcats and our Green Wave going to take care of business, and got to see both of them play this year. You'll see a few of their highlights back in the background behind me, but it was a good time, and got to see some rowdy fans, some great football plays, and yeah, Green Wave hoping to do more of this. Whew, that boy's fast. All right, yeah, going to be a good forecast for him. Unfortunately, just a rainy forecast, but it's not going to be lightning delays. We just need to have that rain gear ready as we cheer on our teams because we don't want to get caught in all that rainfall unprepared. 8 p.m. Thursday, a lot of that rainfall starting to cycle east out into central parts of Alabama, so we're left with scattered precipitation by 10 p.m. Now, depending on what those temperatures are, not an impossibility to maybe see a flake around the DeSoto, Marshall, and Benton County area. Again, I would say that we are on the low likelihood that this does actually develop, and flakes not exactly what I'm expecting. Maybe a sleet pellet or two, but again, no significant precipitation, no travel impacts, nothing of that nature expected. So we are still going to remain on that cold rain side of things. Yeah, amazing what a few degrees difference would do with this forecast, but we're grateful that we don't have to track any winter weather impacts for sure. Friday morning, staying on the drier side once again, and all that moisture cycling out, and we're going to be left with those mostly cloudy skies for our Friday, but those do break up early into the morning, and we'll start to get that sunshine filtering in there along Holly Springs, Clarksdale, and Sardis, that building gradually through the area by our afternoon time frame, so we will get those blue skies returning to North Mississippi finally, and then we'll get to enjoy that with some sunshine there by the afternoon. Cloud cover building slightly more by that 6 o'clock hour, so if you're heading off to the Tupelo Parade with us, that's where we'll be Friday night. Come say hey to us, of course, but it's going to be a good time with those dry conditions. Not an impossibility to feel a sprinkle or two, but not going to be impactful rainfall. That working its way through the region and will make its way out of the region into early next week. So that those chances, those greens, yes, I know they are there, but they're not going to be anything that we need to change plans for. It's still going to be a mostly dry forecast for sure. All right, high temperatures Friday, 50 degrees Amory, 50 in Bruce, 48 in New Albany, and 46 around Holly Springs. We jump down south, 50 in Macon, 49 Kosciuszko, and 48 there towards Greenwood. I mean, this is just a cold forecast, and as we get into our Friday games, the chances are still there, 10 to 20% throughout the day, but those temperatures still remain the big story with 46 degrees. Game 1, I think that is, let me figure out, 2A, 3, no. I think that's 4A. See, I'm confused. You guys just need to tune in at 10. Our Will Kohlmeyer going to walk us through those previews coming up at 10 o'clock tonight, starting with those Thursday matchups, and he'll have the latest breakdown on each of those teams. Who is expected to come out on top? Well, of course, we expect it here in North Mississippi, but he'll be breaking that down with those matchups tonight at 10. You guys can tune in then and get a good look at what to expect. But we're hoping for some titles coming back to we call it Title Town, we call it Title Region here in the north half of the area. But yeah, cold forecast, cloudy forecast, and rain chances do stick around into the weekend as well. Very isolated in nature, but that, of course, drying up by early next week. We're left with no chance of rainfall with plenty of sunshine as well. So day planner for your Thursday, isolated chances by the morning, actually scattered chances to be honest with you, with 33 degrees, but by the afternoon, 60 to maybe even 70% chances as those rain showers work their way through the region. 45 by 5, 38 there by 10. So not exactly cold enough for that rainfall to become something else, but we'll be looking at that in more detail coming up here in just a minute. Your extended forecast stays cold for sure. 49 degrees Friday, low to mid 50s by the weekend. Low temperatures follow suit, remaining in the mid 30s all the way throughout that Sunday time frame. And once our conditions do dry out Monday and Tuesday, they start to drop once again with 34 degrees Monday and 28 degrees for the start of our Tuesday. Luckily, dry conditions will be in place with plenty of sunshine, so excited for that forecast. Unfortunately, we have 4 days before we can get there and enjoy it. So we have quite the gauntlet ahead. We'll track those latest conditions for you and what to expect with all of this rainfall and precipitation coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6, right here from the Room to Room Weather Center in the next 60.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us. That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu.
We don't have time for delays.
Ready!
We don't have time for spills.
Next.
We don't have time for setbacks. Let's be real.
Getting the flu shot
helps you fight the flu.
Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.
Our merry and bright Christmas light promo continues on this December 3rd evening. Sherry and Casu submitting this picture. And again, if you want to be a part of this, go ahead and submit those pictures through the Mississippi Live Weather app, letting us know who you are and where these lights are at. But also, you can do it through Facebook. Our chief meteorologist, Matt Lawpon, his Facebook page. Go into the comments and drop your pictures. That's where we pulled Sherry's from. But Sherry also put a location. A few of you folks have not done so. If you have submitted a picture, please go back and add a location, because we want to showcase where those lights are at, because I know several of us, even the Maynor household, like to go out and just view the lights. My wife calls me every time she drives by Christmas lights and says, Gabe, It looks so good. So, yeah, and we have our lights up too. Maybe we get a feature later on this month. It depends on if Mississippi Live Weather wants to pick the Manor household. Fingers crossed. But Sherry and Concy with a great look there. I love all the pinks that are showing up. Of course, the tree decorated very well with the ribbon falling down. You got the stockings hanging, and of course, the fireplace. Golly, that is a great looking setup that you have right there. Merry Christmas to everybody. I know it's only December 3rd, but once you get that holiday season going, it's hard to resist. Just wishing everybody a Merry Christmas. You do have those icicle lights there with Denise. I didn't get a location on this one, but it was too pretty not to use in the show. So you do have those icicle lights. You have that wrap around on the railing. That's a good looking sight as well. So Denise doing a great job there. Just if you do submit your pictures through the app or through Facebook, make sure to put that location tag to it, and we'll be sure to mention if you're one of the lucky ones on Mississippi Live Weather and show some great pictures for our merry and bright Christmas lights. All right, let's go ahead and get into this forecast. And this forecast, I'm actually going to have to stop this here real quick because it's about to jump through every day. All right, let's go ahead and track this out. And one of the things that I mentioned to you guys that we would do is track temperatures with the rainfall. And here we have one of our model runs, our short-range model runs. That's the strike model, which tends to be a little bit over-aggressive, but it does well when it comes to temperatures. So let's go ahead and track this out. Wednesday night, temperature-wise, yeah, dropping into the low 30s for sure. So we're already tracking a little bit above that for what we're currently sitting at here in North Mississippi. So we'll talk about how to assess this here in just a moment. But as we get into those overnight hours, rain chances start to push into the region there out of Monroe, Louisiana, and across the Mississippi River into North Mississippi. So out there in Greenville, 43 degrees as those rain chances push in. That's going to be midnight 30. And again, this model trending a little bit warmer, so maybe bump that back. We could be in the upper 30s. Still not cold enough to get any winter precip, so we're not tracking any of that for this first round of moisture. So as we keep that forecast going, you can see remaining right around that mid to upper 30 mark. If you factor in that difference in those temperatures, mid to upper 30s throughout the area. So no snow, no sleet, no anything of that nature. It's just going to be a cold rain for the start of our Thursday. So waking up, heading out the door, yeah, that's what to expect. But you're watching that next system, and that next system is the one to pay attention to for the potential of some... Oh, hang on. Let me make sure this is still going. There we go. Okay, for the potential for some of that moisture to move back into the forecast. This is going to be Thursday morning, and there you're getting a large batch of that moisture pushing it out through Little Rock once again. Now, Little Rock, too warm to get any snow. But if we jump up north just a bit, those temperatures trending a little bit better in some spots and dropping it down into the low 30s. Again, our temperatures, a little bit of an overestimate right now. So by Jonesboro, I would say that they are at or below freezing by this margin. But Tupelo, 50 degrees, we'd be more so in the mid to maybe even upper 40s. So that's the unfortunate thing about models. They're not right all the time. And that's where we need to sometimes assess this as meteorologists and talk about the difference in those different model runs. So this one being the temperatures, dropping it back a few degrees. We continue that forecast into the afternoon, and as you can see, temperature's just too warm. Memphis still sitting at about 38, and we could factor in that temperature difference to move it to about 34, 35 degrees, but not expecting any of that winter precip to move into the area potentially just yet. But it's still just too warm, and especially out here in Tupelo, 47 degrees, more feeling like 45. I'm not expecting any winter precip, and that's the thing with this pattern, Matt, is just that it's too warm. 33 degrees, it's too warm, and everyone expects, when it's cold, why are we not getting snow attached to it? It's because that's what's required in the atmosphere, 32 being that freezing point we always talk about.
It's not cold enough. There's a difference between cold and cold enough, and we're just not cold enough.
Exactly, and so out there towards the northeast part of our viewing area, northwest part, we do get some of that tries to move in, and some of those pinks, that wintry mix showing up there, and unfortunately it's going to make the numbers big because of the graphic that is being used right now, but you can see that.
One of the things that I also point out there is that I find interesting on the strike model that it kind of indicates is where you see some of the yellows over there. I mean, that's where it's not impossible that you have some snowflakes or sleep pellets aloft that kind of melt before they get down here to the surface. So that's, I mean, clearly, as you're already illustrating there, though, that it looks like just the timing, there's just enough moisture. If we had less moisture, honestly, our chances of seeing flakes would actually be better, but there's actually too much moisture to get the temperature drop quickly enough.
Yeah, this is one of those events that if it happened in February or March and it was just cold enough that we could be looking at a significant snowfall event, but yeah, not there.
I don't know if the angle's right for a significant snowfall event. Let's be, but it's possible you could see something that at least causes some travel issues, which I think for Mississippi probably this doesn't.
Yeah, no, I don't I'm not going to say even think. I don't expect it to, because, I mean, DeSoto County would be the one area of interest whenever it comes to those chances. And even that, I don't really have it moving into the area. If you have access to it, if you want to kind of draw this out a little bit into our Thursday night, you can see that we're not really having much of anything whenever it comes to those chances, and even those starting to dissolve on out, because we're on the back end of that moisture. So if you were to get a sleep pellet,
dry air, right?
Yeah,
You know,
by then
you
it's
get
not
dry
enough moisture.
air. Okay, the temperature drops the extra little bit, and then the thing to always keep in mind, and this is something that sometimes gets lost in the models. Mix means not just rain, not just snow, but some kind of mix. So you can have this pink on there, and it all be a rain mixed with flakes scenario where maybe a few sleep pellets mix in. Technically, it's a mix, even if it's 90% rainfall. So always keep that in mind when looking at the pink on this. Sometimes people immediately jump and say, ice. That's not the reality. The reality is mix that, could be primarily just one thing, like rain.
Yeah. And so that's what to factor in with this pink that's showing up. And we don't expect it to be any significant winter anything. But back behind it, we do have temperatures dropping, and that's what we could see impacts-wise whenever it comes to the northwest part of our area, dropping those temperatures once again into the potentially upper 20s. But we do expect it to be right around that freezing mark for the next several days, just cold temperatures, rain or shine. And that was one of the headlines at the beginning. Doesn't matter if it's sunny skies, doesn't matter if it's raining here recently, it's going to be the same consistent pattern. But moving up there towards the northeast, as you can see, those rain, snow, and wintry mix chances really start to expand into Knoxville, into Asheville, into the northeast. So if you're making any plans to travel up to the northeast for Christmas break or the holiday season, buckle up. It's going to be quite a doozy up there.
For us, I'll be honest, one of the things I'm doing here behind the scenes, the reason I'm not talking tonight and the reason we didn't make it down the Nettles is I'm getting stuff in place because I'm heading up to a conference that's going to be up just a little south of Nashville there, sort of between Nashville and Huntsville, called the Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, which is where my consultant is and where I'll be speaking as part of the National Digital Weather Conference, because that's kind of what we do here. Just talk about a few things. So I'm looking at that little mix, and that's awfully close to where I'm heading up that direction there, but hopefully stays just a little bit north of that as well.
Well, we need a picture then, Matt, to verify what mix is taking place.
Well, I will see if we can make that happen for sure.
Well, it's going to be a fun one, and at least we're dry for Friday's Tupelo Parade. I saw you shared it on Facebook, but the Fulton Parade has been postponed to Tuesday of next week. So that is going to be an exciting time, but unfortunately the excitement has to be taking place next week. Same thing with Baldwin being rescheduled to the 9th as well. So if you're looking to head to any of those parades for Thursday, those are not going to be happening. They're being pushed back, and waiting on any confirmation for Ackerman, Macon, and Verona. Those parades are supposed to be happening Thursday as well. As of what I was researching, have not been postponed, but I expect it to be with the forecast that we're going to be having.
Absolutely. I was going to put up something on my conference, but I keep loading stuff on your screen, not my screen.
It happens.
Wait, hold on. So it's here we go, and I think it might be something that folks that watch us might find kind of interesting here for a moment. So some of the names that have become somewhat. Oh man, come on, my gizmo here. There we go. Got the monitor. We're getting close, Gabe. I might be able to pull this off.
I'm about to do a drum roll for it.
Oh gosh, don't do that, because that's just begging me to not be able to figure out how to get this to work. It should just be. Oh, which of these is it? Facebook monitor wide. Nope, that's definitely not the right one of those. Thank you, Facebook, for doing what Facebook does. Hold on. There we go. Okay, let me I'll pop myself up here for a second. And so, one of the things that I think I can pop this up. We'll hit this, and then we'll change the background behind me. One of the groups that I'm a part of here, we're a part of, is called the National Weather Network. Dear Lord, is that going to work? No. Let's think about it. Try one more of these. Oh man, Gabe, I should have known for sure which of these. I don't see Facebook on that list. There we are. Now we're closer on that. See if I can shrink the size of it. There we are. So National Weather Network and the National Digital Meteorology Conference there up in Loretta, Tennessee, which is basically Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. Some names you might actually recognize, maybe other names on here that you don't as much. Where's it at? That guy, obviously pretty well known, going to be up there. Ryan Hall. Ben Luna, by the way, the first one to actually kind of pull off what we're doing here alongside of a few of these other folks out there. Real excited to kind of get to talk alongside some of them about what we're doing here at Mississippi Live Weather, and hopefully learn some things that'll make the experience a little bit better for everyone else at home. I'll go ahead and bring it back here with Gabe and I for a second, change that background back behind me. But anyway, that's what I am working to do, is get ready for that as we look forward over the next few days here for that up in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. That also means I'm not going to be at the Tupelo Christmas Parade, but Gabe Maynor is going to be doing the thing there. That's the beauty of being located in downtown Tupelo. He'll be able to, let's see, this is efficiency me. He'll be able to do the 5 and 6 and then rock outside and be live, multitasking, right?
Well, and Caleb going to be here too. I'm sure he'll step outside and make an appearance as well. So, yeah, I know it's not Matt, but please still come take a selfie with both of us, and we'll get those posted as well. And
you'll wear that camera phone out. I have no doubt about that.
And we'll keep the coverage going, trying to get a few shots of the parade as well, set up going into it. We'll try and get what we can, kind of similar to what we did yesterday in New Albany. We'll see about the whole extent, because I know Tupelo has a lot of floats. But I know it was 80 yesterday, and Matt, it all looked fantastic with what you were covering out there in New Albany.
It was a good time, that's for sure. That's for sure. By the way, I'm going to check Facebook here for a second. Looks like Facebook's dropping in and out. So give me a moment. I'll let you continue for a moment, and I'll get off here for a second. But before you kill the stream, I want to double check and see what's up with that, because that's interesting. It's giving me an unable to connect. So I want to see, what's happening there. Good times. I'll send it back to you.
All right, well, bringing it back here to the room-to-room weather center, what we're tracking is, again, a dry forecast tonight, but making way for those rainy conditions as we head into the start of our Thursday. So that day planner tonight, enjoy the dry weather while it's here, right at freezing by 8, 10, and midnight. Partly cloudy conditions, those building overnight, making way for those rain chances as well. Scattered in fashion for the start of the day, more widespread on the latter half of the day, and that's impacting some parades. Going to be impacting those state championships for sure down in Davis Wade. But if you're heading down there to cheer on the Wildcats or the Green Wave, I know it's going to be a good time, and they will put on a show. We got to enjoy that earlier on this season with those highlights as well. And that's where we put together that little, I'm going to put it back up because I love looking at this and kind of reminiscing on the season. Almost a throwback for us. But this is what that forecast is going to look like. And of course, I'll kind of stand in the middle so you can get the view of both. But those chances really climbing by our game 2. So West Point, that 5A state title, going to be right around 90% in celebration, because we're going to bring a title back to Titletown and to Calhoun City. We're going to be 41 degrees with pretty widespread chances as well. But look at all the highlights for the season. Matt, you remember it like it was yesterday, huh?
I do.
That was like last week.
So that really was kind of like last week. Okay, quick question here. So, because I've been deep in everything else, who's tomorrow? Who do we have tomorrow?
Calhoun City and West Point. And Will's going to have those previews coming up at 10 o'clock tonight. West Point's going to be at 7:30.
Golly, there's no team on planet Earth that's more excited to be playing in the rain at 7:30 tomorrow than West Point, Mississippi.
Under the bright lights of Davis Wade. That's going to be a good one for sure. And they're looking for 14 titles and their 14th win of the season. So magic number seems to be 14, and we'll see what we can do with that number tomorrow night.
Well, and it looks like luckily we'll dry things out by the time Tupelo and the rest of the games get played on Friday. Yeah, and Friday, here's a look at that forecast as well. Might as well pull it up because we have it right here. You can see that we do have mostly dry conditions, the occasional off and on shower, but I'm curious to see if they end up sticking with that schedule. I know it's kind of hard to break that state championship schedule, and I know we're not tracking lightning delays, but with how much rainfall is expected, you don't want to ruin those fields for the entire rest of the championships. I think here's the thing. Davis Wade is going to drain way better than a lot of these high school stadiums, right? That's true. And so I think I don't know. I have a feeling they leave it, and I think it could make for an epic and interesting game, that's for sure. It is going to be cool for sure. I'm excited to see it. And it's, of course, Will's going to have those matchups coming up tonight at 10 with who they're facing off against, those game times. And yeah, it's going to be a good one for sure. And 5A and 1A. And we'll have those winners coming up tomorrow at 10. So keep it here for the very latest. We like to give you guys weather, but we also like to add in a little bit of sports here and there. And this being one of the biggest weeks in sports here in North Mississippi with those high school state title games. Our next broadcast happening at 10 o'clock. Again, you'll hear from our Will Kohlmeyer, and we're also readily available in the mornings at 6:37 and 7:30 with meteorologist Maggie McCauley. She'll have the latest on that forecast for parades, for football, everything you need to know as you head out the door.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that we can get help. Let's see how far we can go. Love, your mind.